and I will continue to be visible. And we chose to live in this beautiful country. And this country was built by immigrants, and we are also immigrant. We will work hard to make this country a better place to live, as everybody else will. We're all citizens. We're all human, and I believe in this shared humanity.
Muncie, Indiana has been called the most studied city of its size in America. It has long served as a bellwether, a quintessential American small city. The history is important and well documented, but what is it like to move here in the 21st century? Join me, Jonathan Balmer, a new Munsonian, as I interview the people around town who make Muncie truly unique. Welcome to Meeting Muncie. Thank you for joining me for another episode. This time I have a very special guest, Bibi Bahrami, who is the founder of AWAKEN Inc. and part of a relatively new documentary nominated for an Academy Award, an Oscar, for short documentaries entitled Stranger at the Gate. Thank you for joining me, Mrs. Bahrami.
Thank you, Jonathan. I'm honored to be here with you today.
I'm glad that you were able to meet, and we're recording the podcast right here at your home, at your dining room table.
Oh, thank you. Welcome to our home.
I wanted to ask, as I often ask people, for the first question of this podcast is how you became a Munsonian. How did you come to live in Muncie?
Came to Muncie in 1986 as a refugee to meet my dear husband, Saber, and we got married in beautiful Muncie and started our life here in 86.
1986?
Yes.
Where did you all meet originally, you said?
I had met him in the refugee camp in Pakistan, and he came to do his residency in the United States. And obviously the hospital, the Ball Brothers, the Ball Memorial Hospital, gave him the opportunity to do his residency. And that's why I was able to come to Muncie to meet him here, and we got married.
What was your first impression of Muncie when you arrived?
When I first arrived to Muncie, actually on the way from Indianapolis to Muncie, I said, I don't know where this Muncie is, because it seemed like it was a long road, the 1 hour trip. But it was obviously the community what attracted me, and my neighbors. And I had elderly neighbors. She would come and teach me English. I met them, and then in the hospital, my husband was doing residency. He took me to the hospital to meet all the residents. Everybody was so welcome and so caring and loving, as a new family for me here. Even though I couldn't communicate with them in the beginning, I start learning the English language so I can communicate with them later.
Not only did you learn English when you arrived here, but you also earned degrees at Ball State as well.
Yes, actually I started from ABCs, and I attended Career Center, and then I paced my GED classes. As my high school diploma, then I attended Ball State University. I have an art degree from Ball State University.
So before we get in a lot to your work and the recent documentaries, you mentioned you had an art degree. What do you do for fun or hobbies when you're not working? Are you doing art or other things? What do you do just to relax?
I do enjoy art and drawing, but I also do sewing. I have designed different dresses. I make my own, like with some of the wedding dresses and others. That's what I spend most of my time with, sewing.
As someone who moved here pretty recently, my first time in Muncie wasn't until March of 2022. And so I like to ask people, what do you think everyone should know about Muncie?
I think everyone should know the beautiful Muncie, that we have so much to offer. We have so much happening in our community. We have so many nonprofits, the great work that's happening, that's supporting so many great causes, and such a loving, caring community. That's what I want them to be more involved and volunteer to know their beautiful community. Like, we are blessed with a hospital. We are blessed with a university. And the city, we have all these Middletown studies that has offered so many history that is so rich. And one of my mission was that I chose to live in beautiful Muncie is to make it a light and to show it to everyone how beautiful this community is, to make it the best place to live.
One of the first times I thought of interviewing you actually came around Christmas time. I was wrapping very silly gifts. We call them white elephant gifts. So some people had given me the local newspaper, the Star Press, and I was just stuffing the newspaper into a bag because I didn't have tissue paper. And I came across this article that had your name on it, and it was written by you called Bahrami, thank you, fellow Americans, for warm welcome to Afghan refugees. And it was published October 23rd of 2022 in the Star Press, our local newspaper. And it was about the work of the Muncie Afghan Refugee Resettlement Committee, which was concluding that month. Those who have recently come here to Muncie from Afghanistan as refugees are some of the newest Munsonians. And I found myself thinking, I just moved to Muncie, but I wonder what it's like for them to be some of the newest residents in town. Let me ask you, what was that journey or process of resettlement like for the Muncie Afghan Refugee Resettlement Committee?
That's a great question, Jonathan. When I heard that we had over 7,000 refugees in the Camp Atterbury and there was a dire need of resettlement, and also knowing Muncie community, we were a little bit on downside, I say, we can reach out to help. Knowing my community, they have supported my nonprofit organization, AWAKEN, for the last over 20 years, very generously, very kindly. And I'd say it was I created a subcommittee under the AWAKEN, Afghan Refugee Resettlement Committee. So I brought the whole community on board. This was one of my dream projects that from the mayor office to the university to Meridian Health Service or Open Door Health Service. All the churches and the minister, I reach out to everyone. I'd say, I need your help, and there is a dire need of resettlement, and Muncie community is a great place to bring some refugee families. Instead of individual, like giving donation and bringing one or two family, if we collaborate and come all of us together, we can bring many families. Instead of 10, we will bring 20, and we brought 37 some families to beautiful Muncie. And it was done through our community effort, volunteer. We had over 12 committees, and I had to oversee and having housing for them, nutritious, and furniture and food. It was holistic approach to resettle these families. Each family that we brought, we give them a warm welcome and a home with a warm Afghan food for the evening. It was just an amazing experience for our entire community, how each family welcomed them and how each family had a welcome family to help them resettle in this community. And they were very grateful, and they were telling people, because refugees had gone throughout the United States, these people were talking to other friends who gone from the camp to other places. They said, oh, Muncie, we got spoiled, we got such a nice treatment here. And they were very, very grateful for the services they received. And some people call me from other states, they would like to come to Muncie, what they have heard good things about our community.
One of the questions I had is, while this work and this committee has completed its work for its year or so of involvement, what might long-term residents of Muncie still not know about this community and what their experiences are like coming to a new country and finding it a new home?
Yeah, originally when we decided we wanted to help with the dire need of resettlement, the 6 months, we completed that for each family, a 6 months urgent assistance, and we ended our program in the end of October, as you mentioned. But there is a new thing came out of that. We started a new organization that will be resettling refugees from all around the country, not only just Afghan refugees. And that's the new organization is going to continue support these families. They will need help for a while, even though they're all working. Thank God they're all in school and they have homes. It's a blessing. But I think they still need help. People can still volunteer to teach them English. It takes a long time to volunteer to take them out to the grocery. They're still learning. A lot of them learn how to drive. They're all driving. They have a car, which is a truly a blessing. But just to be, if there is nothing else the community can do when they meet those people, to at least smile, to at least reach out if they can help in any way. That would be my recommendation for my beautiful Muncie to the people who are seeing somebody different than they are, just to kind of like give them a welcome look and a smile.
You were recently part of an Academy Award-nominated short documentary, Stranger at the Gate. And last night, I watched this remarkable film, and I'm going to put a link to it in the show notes for this particular episode. The New Yorker has the documentary on YouTube. It details the story of you, your family, and the whole community at the Islamic Center of Muncie, welcoming Richard, he goes by Mac, McKinney. Mac was a former Marine who had planned an attack on the Muncie Islamic Center and went to the center to do more or less reconnaissance and to find proof of his suspicions of what Muslims were really like. But far from finding people who would harm him or wish him harm there, he ended up being welcomed. Mac found that his hatred of Muslims here in Muncie was deeply wrong, and you told our local newspaper, the Star Press, that when the director, Jeff Seftel, contacted you, you jumped at the opportunity to showcase how our Muslim community in Muncie was able to welcome Mac with open arms. And certainly, the documentary started a lot of conversation. You've just been in Los Angeles, but I can report that in Muncie, I was at Greek's Pizza on McGalliard Road, and the table next to me was talking about this documentary that had just come out. So I wanted to ask you, was the filmmaking process what you expected, and has the reception of the film met your expectations?
Great question. I think I didn't know much about movies and documentaries. As after 9/11, I gave up on watching television completely, and I wanted to focus on my nonprofit and the other work in the community. But in the meantime, when this person reached out to me, Josh Saftel from New York, he said he would like to interview me as I'm the current president of Islamic Center, and the story is very dear to his heart, and he can relate to the story. What has happened is very important. And he said that he knows some Muslim friends that they were suffering after 9/11. This will help Islamophobia and a better understanding of humanity. I said, this is what my husband and I and our local community with other Muslim of the community, I've been trying very hard to make a better understanding among us. And this is very dear to our heart too, and I will be happy to help you with this. And I just had come from a coma, actually, and I said, God, give me a second life, and if this message live, even if I die again, that will, if even one person benefits, that will have a big meaning for myself. And that's how I told him to come, and we gave him a center place, and I even welcomed him to the house. And they recorded this interview, some community member, because story had happened in 2009. And then remembering all the stuff that happened during that time to kind of revisit it was a little challenging, but we were able to capture and have some connections with people in the interviews. And that's what I think the expectation was maybe higher than what I expected, because when he first sent it to me and I watched it, I said, wow. I thought it was just like, interview, like a small, short film, but it was 30 minutes and it was amazingly done. And how he put everything together, I was totally surprised. And I thank him that he had done an amazing job by putting this whole story together.
Of course, one of the things that I really noticed as part of the story was not only your experience, but the experience of those around you and how other people perceive the situation that happened, but also the work that you do. And if you allow me, I'm going to play a short clip from the documentary, audio only, right now.
My parents are mountain movers, I would describe them as. Both come from very, very humble beginnings in Afghanistan. It was really always an open door at our house.
just anyone who needed a place to stay, I will welcome them to stay with me from all walks of life. They will come to our house, I will wash their clothes and clean their clothes and cook for them.
My dad calls my mom the Mother Teresa of the Muslim community, and it's definitely true. She really, it's in her DNA to just be that self-sacrificer, to really put her like everything on the line to make even one person's life better.
I have to ask, how do you feel about the title that your son and your husband used for you, the Mother Teresa of the Muslim community? Have you embraced it? Is Muncie your Calcutta?
It's I'm humble and blessed to be called their name. I wish I can reach to Mother Teresa's what she had done in her life. She was a role model for all of us, and we'll try to fill in her shoes. But very grateful for my dear husband, who have always supported me and respected me, and always encouraged me to do more work. And the same as my children have helped me a lot throughout all these projects that I have worked in my life and volunteering on money board in the local community. I'm very grateful for their support and their respect and understanding to the good work that we are doing in the community.
Of course, welcoming Mac in 2009 and being part of an acclaimed documentary film in 2022 is far from the only thing that you've done, as you've mentioned. You have founded AWAKEN Inc., which stands for Afghan Women's and Kids Education and Necessities. And you founded this organization in 2002. AWAKEN's website says you viewed it as your chance to give back to the community which you left behind. That was also just months after the September 11th terrorist attacks. You mentioned earlier, after that time, you stopped watching television. It was a time where you and many Muslims experienced suspicion and discrimination and some scapegoating. In the documentary, you speak about people noticing your head covering, your hijab, and telling you to go home or that you have a towel on your head, and what you said, it really hurt you. What motivated you to push through with this sort of public work when there was so much popular suspicion?
I think the motivation was, first of all, I'm a strong believer. My faith gives me a lot of courage and strength. And also, I think we've been blessed as a community, have also embraced us and welcomed us and supported us. I think my neighbors, my friends, around the one in our life, we have been very blessed to be having those people in our life. Has a lot of inspiration have come from them and courage. And I think combination of that had helped me continue. Even if 9/11 happened, my children were in soccer field and I will go. And some of my friends said, "Oh, you have a head cover, make sure you're safe. Don't go to the soccer games." And then I would say, then I go back to my faith. I say, God had created me one day and he's going to take me one day. I have to watch my children. I'm here on this earth and I feel like this earth is for share for humanity and I'm part of humanity. And that courage was coming from my faith, even though a lot of my friends would tell me just to be careful not to go to certain places. And I chose to go regardless and to share my side of the story and to show the respect. Even though if somebody looked at me differently, I would smile and I respond. I will offer help if I could help. I think that was the respect had again come back to me. And that was encouraging me to continue my services in my community.
Something that really struck me when I was hearing your story and speaking to you just now, it's something I've known, but it was a reminder. I am actually a Christian pastor in my day job, and I don't talk about it on the podcast because I don't want the podcast to be confused as something meant to promote my church. But I can very easily just walk in somewhere and no one knows my religion. You're publicly viewed as religious because of your hijab. It is not the same situation. People just view me as almost neutral in our culture because of the assumptions or preconceptions. But I know, on being on the receiving end, how important the kind of community relationships have been. One of the first conversations of something that happened at my church after 9/11, one of the people on the search committee, when I was interviewing to come here, mentioned that she worked in a doctor's office of a family I think you know. And the doctor she worked for was Muslim and came to the Sunday school class of the church where I pastor in 2001 to speak about what Islam is. And it was very meaningful for the people in that class to have a greater understanding and to meet him. In an era where this doctor even said some of his friends stopped speaking to him, to go to the Sunday school class of one of his employees who worked in the doctor's office was an important thing for everyone who was involved. And when I heard that story, I believe his name was Dr. Ansari.
Yes. God bless him.
I just remembered how many assumptions can come just based on appearance. And not everyone has the luxury of not being publicly who they are all the time.
Absolutely, Jonathan. I think these are a great question, and I think sometimes God had created humanity with different skin color, different look, and then there is a different religion. I mean, if you look at it, they should be respected who they are. That's our opinion, but, as you say, no, not everybody's privileged to look like uniform the same, but we're all different. And I think that's a very good point. My husband always say when we go to beaches and travel throughout the different states in America, when we see somebody like another Muslim, because when they see my hijab, then he comes and says, Salaam alaikum. If it wasn't for me, that guy would not know my husband was Muslim because, he can just blend with everybody else. And that's what I kind of look at it as a special that it stands out. I feel special. I feel unique that I'm covered, that I'm noticed, that I'm different. And it's very funny that we were going to Oscar. I was sitting in limo with the rest of the group from the stranger at the gate going to Oscar. And in this limo, the security came, the police, they all came to check the limo for the security. And when we pushed the window down, and one of the police says, Salaam alaikum. And he knew that I was covered. And if I was not there with the cover, he wouldn't know if these people were Muslim or not. And then the rest of the group was saying, wow, how does he know you're Muslim? I said, because of my cover. And I think that's, again, it stands, it's clear that it's my hijab. And that's why when I was going to those soccer field, my friends were scared for me not to go to certain places in certain location. But as I say, my faith has helped, and I will continue to be visible. And we chose to live in this beautiful country. And this country was built by immigrants, and we are also immigrant. We will work hard to make this country a better place to live, as everybody else will. We're all citizens. We are all human, and I think I believe in this shared humanity.
I think you said a lot, much more articulately than I could have managed. And so one of the things that I wanted to ask you, and I ask everyone who is part of this show, is kind of their opinions on a variety of questions. So you haven't watched TV in a while, but there's a television show called Inside the Actor's Studio, where they interview actors about their process, how they do their work. And there's often just these really short questions that they ask each of the actors. And I've changed them a little bit, added some things about Muncie. But I wanted to ask you the Inside the Muncie Studio questions. And just your first impression on each of these. What is your favorite word?
My favorite word is probably thank you.
What is your least favorite word?
My least favorite word is gun.
What word comes to your mind when you think of Muncie?
Love and caring.
What turns you on creatively or spiritually or emotionally? So what excites you creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Makes me spiritually excited and socially excited, and again, it's my community. Obviously, my amazing husband, he's always energized, and the way he serves his patients, how he deals with them, he has a lot of kindness. That's living with somebody like that is always giving positive feedback, and my community, obviously, and my faith.
What does the opposite? What gets you down or turns you off?
What gets me down and turn me off? When I see conflict, when I see division in my community, sometimes when I see that, I say I would like to invite those people and have dinner with them. I have done this many times, like I did it for Brother Mac McKinney. When I was in one of my class, there was a student said that, my parents, hate Muslim, and I don't know what to do about it. I said, I would love to invite your parents. I feel sorry for them to live with that hate. If I can help get rid of the hate in their heart by welcoming them to my house and share a meal with them, I would love to do this. I think that kind of disturbs me when I see people divided. Unity is my favorite word. And as I said, my favorite project was to everybody work on the same project. It was the resettlement of refugees that I experienced. I was like crying when everybody was so supportive, reaching out and working as a unity.
I think that answers the next question, which what excites you about Muncie?
Muncie is a very exciting place because we all come together and work on the same project, and we support good causes together. I feel more of a humanity. I think it was my dream to make Muncie a sample to the world. To be honest, now, like the State Department has approved to bring a refugee to make some kind of a sponsorship. As a Muncie, I already have that model. We already work that way. What now the State Department is kind of suggesting that 5 families coming together to sponsor refugees. I'd say we had this model, and other cities have contacted me if we can share the model with them. And this is what the Muncie is, a place, a family, to raise a family, to live comfortably, and with the great neighbors around you. That's what excites me, to see people welcoming people who are different than they are. And walking my shoe is one of the other things I love about Muncie, that walking in a person's shoes.
What sound or noise do you love?
I listen to like that country music is a background. Sometimes I just have it on, no song in it, but just to have it as a background, it kind of relaxes me.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Loud noises, loud music even, I don't like.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I love medicine. I had a lot of interest in medicine. I worked with the refugees in Pakistan, giving IV shots, and I learned it on my own, like just try to help. I think medicine was my favorite profession, but I didn't have the opportunity. But I'm blessed to have 4 of my children in medicine and my husband.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive?
I would love that God recognize my good deeds in my hands.
My final question, how can people learn more about you and what you do?
I would love for them to reach out to me and talk to me. I would be happy to meet with them and talk to them and share my common knowledge of life experience with them, and be more helpful, hopeful than discouraged, because a person like myself with not much education, coming as a refugee, being refugee twice, if I can be helpful to somebody, I would encourage them that they can help even more. And I call the young people like yourself the better half, that they have much more to offer to the society than I would have offered. And I would love for them to be inspired and encouraged to do more in this beautiful world that they have a chance to live in.
This has been a conversation with Bibi Bahrami, who is one of the many people you might meet if you choose to meet the people in Muncie, Indiana. Thank you for joining us.